Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See that still didn't fix the sound. Gonna have to mess with that tonight and see what's going on. Thought I had it fixed. It works. Um, so our second day of jury selection, and we have some good news. So we'll go through what happened uh today in the courtroom in Oakland County and kind of get all set up. So 9:13 a.m. today, Judge Matthews took the bench. Jennifer Crumbley was seated with her attorney. The prosecutor entered the court around the same time. And then, rather prophetically, at 9:24 a.m., Judge Matthews says, I hope we have a jury today, which seemed like a tall order with yesterday. But yeah, 10:09, while questioning one of the jurors, Oakland County prosecutor said, "No juror has ever told me that serving on a jury was a horrible experience." Uh, I don't know that it would be a fun experience, but I mean, there's worse things there than serving on a jury. I'd like to actually do it at one point. Um, I know that's kind of crazy, but I think it would be interesting to do one point. I've never had jury duty, so uh, luckily I didn't get it for this case. I'm not in Oakland County, but uh, so 10:23. Some Smith spoke with some jurors, including a woman who said her decision would be based on the evidence and no concerns about backlash if she found Crumley not guilty, which is pretty much exactly what you want in a juror, right? Uh, and then that's when the defense started questioning around 10:23 a.m. It continued to about 11 a.m. Uh, Defense attorney Shannon Smith continued to question jurors, including one who said he believes Crumbley should have been responsible for her child. He said if his child threw a baseball through someone's window, he would be responsible and pay for the window. He remained. Another juror was asked about being a parent and agreed to listen to the evidence before determining. Um, then we have some more back and forth. 11:09. Uh, Smith told jurors that Crumley is sitting there because she's accused of a crime. She asked if any of them believe Crumley is there because she's guilty. All the jurors said no and agreed that they could find not guilty. A couple minutes later, a juror said she doesn't go to theaters or malls because of mass shootings that have happened. She says it takes a lot to calm her down when she sends her children to school. That would not be a juror that I would want on a jury related to this kind of event personally. Um, but that's just my personal opinion on the matter. Um, Not a juror that I would particularly want on my case representing me. Um, but you know, I mean, like I said, I think they were gonna struggle to find jurors for this, so I get it. Uh, Defense attorney Shannon Smith said after the Oxford school shooting, she could not send her children to school for days, so agreeing and finding common ground with the juror. Uh, the next question up, one of the jurors said she was almost in a school shooting about 20 years ago, but the SRO caught the person. Said her sister was a target. Again, not somebody I would want on my jury. Um, but the juror said this affected her life, but she could be fair and impartial in a trial for Jennifer Crumbley. So 11:25, we come to dismissals. They get done asking about the current crop that was up. The prosecution did not challenge any of the 17 people. The defense asked for dismissal of two jurors for cause. Uh, the first had a strong knowledge of the case and was dismissed by the judge. The other juror believed that no minor should ever have a gun. or touch a gun. Said she can try to be fair. Judge asked if she would consider Crumbley guilty no matter what. If her son had touched a gun, the juror said no, so the juror got to stay. Court took a break at 11:29. And then when they came back at 11:44, they had 16 of the 17 seated jurors. 16 jurors have been tentatively seated, but not yet official. One replacement sat down right before the break. The person will be questioned before lunch. So it appeared that just before the lunch break, we had 16 that were unofficially seated. And I believe that's how it kind of shook out. 11:51 a.m. There's 16 jurors remaining with the for cause challenges over. Prosecutors and defense were allowed to remove 5 jurors without cause. Prosecutor McDonald seems satisfied with the 16 have been seated, and then they're looking for their 17th. And defense attorney Shannon Smith sounds like she will dismiss some of the jurors. So then we go. The judge gives an extensive kind of soliloquy on a jury, blah blah blah. At noon, 12:04 p.m. on Wednesday. Some more explanation about the challenges and stuff like that. So they had a crop of 50 jurors left in today's pool, and tomorrow they were anticipating calling another 300. 10 women and 6 or 10 men and 6 women were called. So that's what came up next is that breakdown. The next potential juror brought in is parole officer for the state who said his job would not come into play. He said he has no verdict on the Crumbley because he hasn't heard the evidence. Blah blah blah. Prosecutor Karen McDonald excused the juror whose sister was the target of the possible school shooting 20 years ago. So that was by the prosecution that did that. It's kind of interesting. Personally. That's really interesting, actually. That I wouldn't have thought that they would have been the ones to make the dismissal. Huh. But yeah, they did. They made the dismissal. So that's very interesting. 12:26 p.m. on Wednesday, a new juror was brought in, but that person has responsibilities with their child that interfered with trial. They were dismissed. 8 minutes later, the replacement juror was an engineer who said he had his mind made up about the case and could not be impartial. He was also dismissed. The woman who replaced him said she doesn't think parents should be held responsible for actions of their teenage children. She was also dismissed. So we're starting to see some definite dismissals and movement and that kind of that kind of way, I guess you would say. So that's interesting because they seem to not dismiss anybody for a good amount of time. So I don't get why they started all of a sudden. Maybe because it was getting closer. But yeah. And then we break for lunch at 12:39. At 12:45, the defense plans to use several challenges after lunch. Prosecutor said the trial begins Thursday. Victims want to be there in person. Openings are expected on Thursday. So that's tomorrow. Judge asked both sides if a jury will be seated by the end of the day, and both said yes, they believe so. Um, so after lunch, the defense team had 3 dismissals remaining, and the prosecution had 4. Uh, then they get back from lunch, and they're waiting. Judge and jury return at about 2 p.m. And again, they're seating a total of 17, so 12 for the jury, 5 alternates, so a lot of alternates. Seeing if there's anything else. Defense attorney Shannon Smith dismissed a juror, then that person was replaced by someone who said they were very much against guns for anyone. The judge excused that person. So then another juror came in. He went to the box and said his wife has a strong opinion about Jennifer. She believes Crumbley should do the same amount of time as her son. Said he doesn't always agree with his wife, but going home could be an issue. He was dismissed. That one's kind of good. And then right after that juror, there was another one that was brought in, and at 2:38 p.m., the jury was officially seated with the alternates. So 17 total jurors. The jury consists of 10 women and 7 men. So that's what we have on our jury is 10 women, 7 men. Um, and it looks like everything's proceeding for openings to start in the morning. So that's a good sign. Looking forward to that. And that's kind of where we're at. So it seems like they got it together, at least somewhat. Uh, it seemed like it was a little bit more fair today in favor of everyone. Yesterday there was some questions as to impartiality and fairness and that kind of thing. But that seems to have certainly been resolved today. So that's good. That's what you want to see. Um, and as far as that's concerned, it just it looks like it looks like we're certain to have something get going tomorrow. So um I have not let me see if they've released a time where we're gonna start. Um Jennifer do. Yeah, I'm still not seeing an actual start time, but there certainly should be a start time in the morning, so I'll keep an eye on it. And I'll definitely post a stream tonight based on what we have going on. Um, they're anticipating that this trial will be 3 weeks. So that's what I've seen so far. Like I said, there was a lot of back and forth with this one. It was kind of been a mess. So it's nice to see some things starting to get sorted out, but it appears that we will be going to trial tomorrow and that we should start relatively on time. Like I'm assuming somewhere in the 9 o'clock range, that kind of deal. Um is the hope. But remains to be seen. And yeah, so that's what we got going on. I'm excited to get started tomorrow. Should be a fun trial to watch. It's obviously huge precedent setting trial with can somebody be responsible for actions of another party, even if they somehow tangentially contributed to those actions. So I think it's going to be a good deal to take a look at, and yeah, hopefully it isn't ridiculous, but so we'll see. But yeah, that's going to be uh about 3 weeks is what I'm hearing. Of course they don't know for sure. but that seems to be the common takeaway is that we have about 3 weeks of trial coming up. So, um, I I hope it doesn't take a whole lot longer than that. It seems unreasonable that it would take significantly longer than that, but then again, you never know. So, um, stranger things have happened. Uh, but other than that, we don't have a ton of new information. Like I said, it was just basically getting this jury seated today and getting all that taken care of. So we've done that officially, and I'm excited to get going. So, uh, keep an eye out for the stream. I will post it as soon as I get a confirmed time, and I'll post a message on probably on community as well, uh, just to be able to give everybody an idea of what's upcoming. But until then, like I said, this is gonna be a short one. So until then, I'll talk to y'all later. You guys have a good day. Hit that like button on your way out. Take care.